Okay. Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I am Angela Brown, and I am your Sergeant of Arms for today's meeting. We provide supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in great self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is a premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has virtual hands raised so we can all immediately see who is keeping the time. Our timer, please raise your virtual hand. Our Toastmaster of the day today is Hannah Schmidt. Hannah serves as a passionate advocate within Leadership Speak, utilizing her impactful theme, Leaders Drive Change, to inspire and motivate her peers. She encourages others to take on the role of catalyst, helping spark positive change and thoughtful growth throughout wherever they are. Please help me in welcoming our Toastmaster of the day, Hannah Schmidt.
Thank you very much, Madam Sergeant at Arms, for that warm welcome and introduction. Yes, Angela, we are leaders who drive change. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters, visitors, and guests. A warm welcome to the meeting number 175 of Leadership Speak. We have a great theme for today. Leaders drive change. And great leaders don't wait for change, they drive it. I'm excited and looking forward to an extraordinary meeting, and I warmly welcome our esteemed guests, visitors, and, of course, our members. Today's agenda features a series of engaging speeches, each thoughtfully crafted to inform, to inspire, and spark that meaningful conversation. Before we set sail, let me start our voyage with an appropriate quote by Robin Crow. Leadership isn't about taking charge and influencing others to follow their vision. It's about going against the odds and accepting responsibility and outcomes. Leaders driving change recognize the opportunities where others perceive obstacles. They develop themselves to enhance the people and the systems around them. I have an excellent example for that. In February of 2022, 20 innovative Toastmasters chartered Leadership Speak, driven by a powerful belief to learn, to innovate, to connect, and to become the premier club for experienced Toastmasters. In our inaugural year, we achieved global ranking number 5. The following year, we secured number 1. This success was not accidental. It stemmed from bold choices, a collective vision, and intentional actions taken by leaders who fostered growth and motivated change, and were inspired to drive change. Connecting with our members also reinforces our culture of authenticity and connection. As Elizabeth Burks reminds us, there is incredible value in being of service to others. If I want to improve the organization, or if you want to improve the organization, we must improve ourselves. And the organization gets pulled up with you. At Leadership Speak, we shape self-directed leaders, leaders who spark momentum, shape culture, and inspire enduring transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, and future members of Leadership Speak, as captain of this leadership, I invite our guests to sign the guest book. Here is an opportunity, or the opportunity, to become crew member on our next voyage. I kindly ask Irene to please share the guest book. If she's done it, thank you very much. As Toastmaster of the day, I have some highly self-motivated leaders assisting me in navigating my leadership journey. First of all, to start with off is the toast and of our leadership journey. And we need some words of encouragement. And we'll begin with the toast. Please help me welcome Yoti to raise the toast of the day. Thank you. Over to you, Yoti.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. It's a delight to stand here before you at the Premier Club, where leaders drive change. Leadership Speak sits right on top of the charts. Thank you all for being here and bringing your energy to this meeting. February 2022, just a few years ago, things were different. It took a few courageous leaders to roll up their sleeves, challenge the familiar, and spearhead a reform that would steer us towards this new idea. These leaders saw beyond the comfort zone and made a choice. They decided to drive the change. Leadership Speak today is thriving and soaring. When I joined this club, Leadership Speak, I was full of enthusiasm, but unsure of my path ahead. It was the self-directed leaders here who guided me. Bram said, go find your mentor. Rosie said, technology will follow, keep going. Tony said, you can do it. Hannah said, I'm there for you. Sandra said, swim against the tide. Gerda learnedly turned me around from a simple idea to a humongous change. Leaders right here, the list can go on. That's Leadership Speak. Leaders drive change. Each of their voices helped me grow, and I'm sure we are all witness for it. Every day, there's a change. This is what Leadership Speak does to us. Not waiting for change, but creating it. Every speech, every meeting, every shared idea accelerates our growth and pushes us forward. Let's think about it. Ask yourself, who are the people in your list? Turn around. That's what holds us here. The leaders here drive the change. Everyone coming here are leaders. By default, the energy makes you a self-directed leader. Leaders drive change. So tonight, let us honor the leader amongst us and the leader within each one of us. Communicate openly. Decide swiftly. Act courageously. Leaders drive change by sharing their vision, making timely decisions, and taking bold actions. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request you to unmute your microphones, open your videos, and raise your glasses. Do we have everybody there with a chair and the glasses in front of you? Let's take a moment together. Here's to leaders driving change.
Here's to
Here's to leaders driving change.
leaders driving change.
Over to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jyoti. From your unsurety, you are now sure that you have settled with leadership speak. Thank you. The crew member responsible for the leadership hourglass is Joseline, and she will explain her role as timer. Over to you, Joseline.
Good morning, colleague Toastmasters and guests. Today, I am the timer of this meeting. As timer, I will help all of you to manage your time properly. And to do so, I already have my hand raised. And during the meeting, I will look at the time allotted to each speaker. And when the time is at the minimum, when you are at the minimum time allotted, I will share the green card. At the average time allotted, I will share the yellow one, and when the time is up, I will share the red card. And at the end of each session, I will share the time in the chat. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Madam Timer, thank you very much for that exact timing. But remember, we occasionally face turbulent waters, and that lifted hand may drop. Please ensure that it returns promptly, because I see it's gone now. Just raise your hand again, Madam Timer, please. It does fall down at times. We go on. In this leadership initiative, we need to be conscious of our language. And I invite our grammarian, Francois, to please explain her role and present us with the word of the day. Over to you, Francois.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to the language usage. I'll take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. And you see what the word of the day is? Dun, 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 dun. Reform. And use in a sentence. If someone reforms something such as a law, social system, or institution, they change or improve it. Example in the sentence, he plans his plans to reform the country's economy. At the end, I'll come back with my report on how many times we've used the word of the day, reform. And let's see if someone in Canada was able to make a change to ensure that they have a mango tree planted in Canada. Back over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
One of these days we'll come and harvest these mangoes somewhere in Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready for our journey. But before we sail, we need more crew members on our board. And I invite Irene to please again post the guest book. Thank you very much, Irene. All sails are set for our leadership educational speaker. And she is definitely driving change. I invite her evaluator, Terrence, to please read the purpose statement of our leadership educational speaker. Terrence?
Thank you, Toastmaster Anna Schmidt, DTM. I have the pleasure of evaluating the speech by Toastmaster Lydiah Wanjiku, and this is in the project Preparing to Speak or Prepare to Speak Professionally. The purpose of this project is for Lydiah to practice developing and delivering a longer speech. She has, yes, thank you. I can see her on the screen. She has 18 to 22 minutes for this speech. All the best, Lydia. Over to you, Toastmaster Hannah.
Thank you very much, Terrence. Lydia is one of our younger members, and she hails from Kenya. She is a human resource professional. She joined Toastmasters Leadership Speak to become a self-directed leader, driving change. Please help me welcome Lydia. Leaders drive change. Leaders drive change. Lydia, over to you, Lydia.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters and our distinguished guests, please take a minute and think critically about today's theme, Leaders Drive Change. Think about a time when you witness true leadership that made an impact. What drove that change? Leaders drive change. It is not a slogan. It is a challenge, a call to action. Leadership is about vision, courage, and relentless pursuit of progress. As George F. Kennedy once said, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. In addition, we live in a world that never stops evolving. Technology advances by the minute. Organizations shift overnight. And social expectations transform with every generation. In this fast-changing world, self-directed leaders are the sparks that keep progress alive, especially when others are stuck as they drive change. You'll agree with me, one change remains positive. That is driving change. And that is why leaders have to drive change. It is not the policies. We have very good policies in the organizations, but they cannot drive change by themselves. Not even processes. You can have very good processes, but they cannot drive change by themselves. Not even technology by itself. It cannot. It is leaders with vision, courage, and willingness to act who will ignite and steer the change. And there's a quote by George Bernard Shaw who said, "Progress is impossible without change." You can only progress when you have change. And change is not easy. It disrupts routine. There's a way people are used to doing their work. It is normally disrupted because of the change. It challenges comfort zones and invites uncertainty. Without change, there is no growth. And without leadership, change has no direction. In every era of transformation, it has always been leaders who have stepped forward to guide others through the unknown. When I joined Leadership Speak, it was a 360 degrees change from my community club. I've gained a lot of knowledge, I've developed myself and still developing myself. Last year, there was a change that happened in our organization. And you were told as HR professionals, you have to change the way you are recruiting staff members. How are we going to do the change? We have to make sure that we are also including staff members who are living with disability. Then critically, I started thinking from what I've learned from Leadership Speak, critical thinking. You cannot change what you don't know, what you have no skills of. It's very difficult to change. What did I do? Quickly, I got an expert to take me through disability and inclusion. After understanding, then I organized for a session with the other HR team members. We had a session, we were taken through slowly. It was a whole one day, and we left the workshop when we had more information about the change in disability and inclusion. The next step, I had to organize for a session for leaders, supervisors, and managers so that they're able to be taken through about how to lead, to become a leader that is inclusive. After that, the last step I did was to have a session with all staff members, because the staff members who we are going to recruit are going to work with other staff members. How are they going to be incorporated? After having the sessions, then I was able to now start driving the change. And finally, we were able to do the recruitment. It was not a walk in the park, but we got staff members living with disability. And they were absorbed. The onboarding was seamless, and we are having a good relationship working together with other colleagues. Hence the reason why it is the leaders who drive the change. Think about leaders who have made a lasting impact in their leadership, not because they maintained the status quo, but because they dared to challenge it. A case in hand, it's Indra Nooyi, a business leader and a strategic thinker. She is widely considered to be one of the chief executive officers in the world for her leadership of the global Pepsi Cola company for 12 good years. What did she do? She used the 5 C's to change the culture of that company. And that was competence, courage, communication, consistency, and compassion. She was able to drive the change as a leader in Pepsi company. She transformed the culture of Pepsi company. Another leader, Nelson Mandela, who led the nation from a division to democracy. He was able to drive change as a leader. Nelson Mandela is remembered as one of the most transformative and courageous leaders of the 20th century. He emerged as one of the leaders driving change, challenging deep-rooted injustice. After being arrested, he came out and he never revenged. He was able to reconcile. Hence, the reason why he was able to drive change. What do leaders do in order to drive the change? Leaders are people who see what could be the right thing to be done instead of being stuck to what has always been done. They are the ones who say, I know this will be uncomfortable. Change is always uncomfortable. But trust me, it is going to be worth. And most importantly, they do not say, they show by doing. They are leading from the front. When leaders know how to ignite the situation and sustain momentum, they help the teams move from idea to execution. It is also about driving the change. Again, John Maxwell said, "A leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." How do leaders drive a change? Number one, they see possibilities rather than problems. A leader does not ask, "Why is this happening?" Instead, they ask, "What can we do about it?" Change begins with you as a leader. And leaders are the ones who light the way. They're the ones who are able to see what others are not seeing, simply because they have the vision. The leaders lead from the front as they set the pace. Second, leaders bring people along them. They don't walk alone. Leadership is not a solo act. True leadership happens when people feel seen, they feel heard and included in the journey. And then great leaders listen more than they speak, because it is from that listening that they're able to get more information from the team. And they build trust. For you to lead the change, you need to be trusted. They unite people around them. They get inspired as they are driving the change. And leaders who drive change, they keep on communicating, keeping the team informed, updated, so they are able to journey together in driving the change. Then the third one, they adapt and persevere. Change is not smooth. There are setbacks, resistance. Some team members will not follow you, will not follow what you're telling them. And sometimes they are failures. The example I gave, after getting the skills, I was able to organize with my team and the entire office, and it was a success. Not always that it will be a success. At times, it might be a failure. But as a leader, you own the process as you're driving the change. Leaders understand that resistance is part of the process. They do not crumble when challenged. They evolve. In doing so, they encourage the other members to grow with them. Number 4, the leaders who drive change, they lead by example. People do not follow titles. They follow trust. Once you're a trusted leader, the team will follow you. And also your integrity and authenticity. You have to be yourself. When leaders embodies the change, they want to see, they give others the confidence to embrace it with the team. After all, momentum is not external. It is internally generated and externally multiplied. Self-directed leaders have the clarity and courage to take the first step even when there is resistance or uncertainty. A leader knows that people are not afraid of the change. They are afraid of loss of comfort, control, and maybe even coffee breaks. Organizations that are going through realignment, staff members, they lose their jobs, and their staff were used to going for coffee. So that change that the organization is going through, their staff members who will miss that coffee break that they've been having. So leaders, they hear those fears and help people move through them. And finally, leaders, they laugh. Not everything needs to be serious. Change is hard, but humor helps. It reminds us we are all human beings and we can mess up, learn, and still move forward as we drive change. Where does this align with self-directed leaders? Self-directed leaders do not wait for permission, motivation, or ideal conditions. They take ownership, initiate action, and inspire others through example. They lead from the front, and in so doing, they drive change. Whether you're leading a company, a team, a campaign, or simply your own life, remember, you do not need to have all the answers. For you to drive change, you don't need to have all the answers. You need the vision for you to be able to see a better future, and also the courage to step and be able to see the uncertain things that others are not seeing, and the compassion to take others along you. In the end, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking responsibility, creating change, making things better, and lifting others as you go along and driving change. Remember the example that I gave. After getting the information, after getting the skills, still, it was not enough for me. What did I do? I had to take some short courses on diversity and inclusion. After getting the course, the skills, then I was able, and I'm still perfecting my skills in diversity and inclusion, in addition to being a HR professional. And being a leader means that you keep on updating yourself with what is happening for you to be able to drive change when change is required. In conclusion, if you're sitting here wondering whether you are ready to drive change, let me assure you, you do not need to be perfect. You need to have the vision, goal, and the courage to take the first step. You do not need to have all the answers, but you have the willing to step up, speak out, learn fast, and stay on course. In the end, the most powerful force for change is not technology, not policy, not money. It is people, the leaders. It is you. In uncertain times, self-directed leaders become the driving force behind sustained change. Let us be brave, raise to the challenge, be intentional to become leaders who drive change. The world needs leaders who are ready to drive change. I challenge you leaders here today. Embrace the courage to lead and spark the change. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Lydia, thank you very much. You definitely exemplify driving change. And your impact definitely also extends beyond your immediate environment, because she is a member of the East African Women's League and Kenya National Horticultural Society. Thank you very much, Lydia. Now we quickly need to onboard another member on our ship, and that is Bram. Over to you, Bram.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is a quick commercial break because we have an open house coming up this next week, Saturday on June the 7th. Luisa Montalvo will be at Leadership Speak because we're having an open house and we're going to demonstrate why we are one of the top clubs globally. Actually, the top club globally in terms of membership, in terms of education awards, in terms of quality, which you are seeing right now. I have posted this particular graphic and a write-up in the chat for you to share and for you to, of course, be here next week, Saturday. As well, you will see a guest book post coming up very soon for the guest book. Please sign that in and let us know whether you'll be interested. Thank you, Irene. There it is. So take a moment as we pause for a second and go to the chat and please click on the link where Irene has posted and sign in the guest book. You've heard already our guest, our education speaker. You will now hear all the other speakers prepared. It's going to be a long meeting. It's a very special meeting, by the way, today. You'll be surprised what's in store for you. I will let TMOD Hannah Schmidt announce that. But remember, Luisa Montalvo next week, June the 7th. Thank you, Hannah. Over back to you.
Thank you very much. We'll keep you on board, Bram. Don't worry,
Awesome.
we won't throw you overboard. We'll keep you on board.
I'm looking forward to those mangoes from Francois.
Don't eat them all. Don't eat them all. We also want some once we have docked again. Thank you very much. Now we can go on with our journey. And our first speaker is Luciano. May I invite his evaluator, Gerda, to please read the purpose statement for Luciano.
Certainly, Toastmaster of the Day. Luciano is working on Leadership Development Path Level 4, Project 4. The purpose of this project is for Luciano to practice the skills needed to effectively use public relations strategies for any group or situation. And the other purpose of the speech is for Luciano to share some aspect of his public relations strategies. Also, Luciano has asked me to pay attention to his vocal variety and use of pauses. It is my pleasure to be Luciano's evaluator. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Gerda. Thank you very much. Luciano hails from my northern neighbor, Angola, and he will tell us all about the public relations strategies needed on board leadership. Please help me welcome Luciano. Open your book. Open your book, Luciano. The stage is yours.
Let me open my book. As a leader, if you want to drive change, you have to be able to open your book. Your book, the tools that you have around you as a leader, you have to be able to open that and apply that if you want to drive change. If you want to drive change, you have to be able to reform your way of thinking, because you cannot expect different results by being at the same level of thinking that you've always been and always getting those results. You have to reform your way of thinking. That's extremely important if you want to drive change. So, as a leader, I'm the VP of a club in District 129. It's a bilingual club, and we were facing with two issues. One issue was the number of members in the club was decreasing, and we needed to increase the number. Issue number two was organization, where we, up to the last minute, we would not know which person would play each role. And I took the task on myself and saying, we need to resolve these issues, those two issues, the members and the organization within the club. So I developed a strategy. In developing that strategy, what I did, I say, we need new members. What can we utilize? The tools that we have around us, what can we utilize in order to increase our members? We can reach new people. I say, let's use social media and let's use word of mouth. How did we utilize that? How did I come up with that strategy? Because I know one of the ways to influence people is word of mouth. We are easily influenced by the people we trust. When they tell us about something that they really like, wow, we become excited and we open our ears to listen to it. And sometimes we actually adopt that. So that's word of mouth, one strategy that I came with. And the other one was social media. Social media is everywhere. You can reach people all over the world. And I use part of my strategy, social media, using WhatsApp, using Instagram, and using Facebook so that we could advertise the club, our meeting, so that we can reach new people. And by word of mouth also, we went and advertised and spoke to people at Alliance Française in Johannesburg, in order to help us get new members. That was one strategy. And the strategy did work. We did increase our numbers. We did increase our reach. One aspect, we worked at it. We managed to get new members, and that was good. Then we were left with aspect number two. How can we organize our meetings where we can be in a position 3-4 weeks or 1 week before the meetings, we know which person will play each role and who's the person that's going to be available. What I did is I opened my book. When I say open my book, I looked at the tools around me. Which tools did I have? Which tools does Toastmaster have to help me drive change in the club? I went and I looked at Easy Speak, because there are clubs that use Easy Speak already. So I took Easy Speak and implemented it at the club. So we are in a position now where we address that point. So it's extremely important. As a leader, when you're driving change, you have to open your book. By open your book, you need to see the tools that are around you. And I used these tools that were around me, and I was able to drive change. With this particular strategy that I developed, there were a couple of learnings that I took. Besides applying that in the Toastmasters Club, I also applied it in my professional life, which is important. And this was only possible, this change was only possible once I reformed my way of thinking. I had to start thinking differently. I wanted to drive change. I could not drive change if I didn't change myself. I ended up changing myself by changing the way of thinking, the way I thought. I changed that because I said, I want different results. To get different results, you have to do different things. And I'm a person that reads, and I was able to capture some lessons and apply that and I said, anything I want to achieve, I have to always to look at what will I give in order to achieve that. For instance, in the strategy that I utilize in order to get new members also, one further aspect that I utilized was the language. I knew that there are people that I wanted to improve in their French. So I utilized that French to bring people to Toastmasters. I utilize English to bring people to Toastmasters. So that's where the way of thinking that I utilize in order to bring people in. So in every strategies that you have at the end of the day, to get the result that you want, you need to know what the other person is looking for and what can you give. Let me repeat that. In every strategy you have, you always have to look at what the person or what the company is looking for and what you have, how does that fit in what the company is looking and what the person is looking. You are always, sometimes you have to spin what you have in order to fit that. As a leader, if you have to drive change, you have to be able to change your way of thinking, and you have to open your book, look at the tools around you to do what you need to do. Thank you very much. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Luciano. And guess what? Our guest book is also open. Dear guests, I am positive you have been inspired to become a crew member. Please sign the guest book. We shall reach out to you soon. Remember, our leadership is solid and steadfast. It's built to stay afloat, no matter the storm, even with us 551 attendees. Thank you very much. Now we come to something very exciting. I've never done this online, but it's exciting. Nikhita, our second speaker is Nikhita. May I invite her evaluator, Tati, to read the purpose statement for Nikhita, please. You're muted.
Muted again. You're not audible. Hannah, can you hear?
Hannah, can you just take care of this?
I can't hear her either. And Tati?
She's still speaking.
It looks like there's no connection on or sound on her side. Her sound has failed. So, Mr. Zoom Master, if you can take her out and take off the screen and send her a note, if you can.
Tony's got the same evaluation prescript. Maybe he can read it quickly that the audience knows. Tony? Just read, you've got the same evaluation.
Yes, actually, yes, and I was thinking the same thing, so I'll be very happy to, because the fourth speaker will be using the same project. So,
yeah.
Nikhita's project, and Nikhita and I actually, by coincidence, had some discussion on this. So this is very appropriate. Hey, Nikhita.
Hey,
see?
Tony.
See, Nikhita? See? Oh, all right. So Nikhita's project is presentation mastery. Okay. Project number, level number 4, project number 1, managing a difficult audience. Okay. As Hannah said, this is not the usual thing. And of course, at Leadership Speak, we are never difficult. Our audience is always great. So therefore, 4 volunteers or have been recruited to be disruptors. To be disruptors. And each disruptor has a different approach. Nikhita's task is to present her message despite the disruptions. So this actually will be very interesting, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And let's see, Nikhita, I know you're going to do this well. So I'm looking forward to your expertise and, your masterful leadership. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Tony. Nikhita, she hails from Namibia, but she now lives in Spain. And guess what? She was a semi-finalist in the World Championship of Public Speaking, so she knows all about what Luisa Montalvo has gone through. But I quickly want to explain it to you. Have you ever managed a difficult audience? Here's the chance to observe how it is done. She will present a 5 to 7 minute speech, yet 4 members do not agree with her speech and will try to disrupt her, either by talking, interrupting, chatting, or even arguing. And the goal is for her to remain control. Only the 4 speakers may interrupt her speech. Let's see what's going on. Please help me welcome Nikhita. Taming chaos with compassion. Taming chaos with compassion. Nikhita, over to you.
Thank you, Hannah. I do want to put a gentle reminder out there before I get started. I know this is a difficult project, but please, I might trigger some questions, some thoughts, even disagreements. I would like you to note them down, put them in the chat, or message me privately. Let's just try for now while I'm speaking to keep the chaos maintained. All right, so for those who don't know this about me, apart from being a dancer and an embodiment somatic coach for women specifically, I also teach children English. Yes, I work from tutoring 1-year-olds all the way to stormy teenagers. And every day of the week, well, Monday to Friday, I have to face classrooms that are a roller coaster of personalities, moods, and learning abilities. Think of it as running a TED Talk, a daycare, and a circus simultaneously. Before I started teaching English here in Spain, I had my dance school in Namibia. Now, I worked with pretty much the same age group, a little older, and I taught and led with the only way I knew how to. Fear. With fear. My students were like soldiers. When I entered the studio, they knew exactly what to do, what was expected of them. My presence commanded the space, and I didn't have to waste my breath trying to manage behavior. Until I came to Spain, started teaching Spanish, a whole new discipline, teaching English, a whole new discipline, and until I met the babies. I mean, you cannot intimidate a baby. I'll be like, I am angry. And the baby will look at me straight in the eyes and laugh. I might ask them to sit down they will sit down if I ask them to sit down for like 2 seconds.
Ramona was really good that day, Ramona did very well when she came to DTech 2025 in Dubai.
Paramjit, I think can you mute your mic, please?
Yeah, I was just talking to person like that. Mantova was also like you, and
all right.
Also like you. Yeah.
All right. So please mute your mic, and I would love to continue my speech. and tell you about these toddlers and how they just storm off. They just, 2 seconds after, they just run off and they take everyone else with them. And please don't let them start screaming, and don't let one of them start crying, because it is not a tantrum. No, it's a choir of noise. So this is when I started to ask myself, how does one lead when no one is listening? And then the shift. Yeah, the shift from commanding with control to engaging with creativity. The shift to becoming a ninja teacher.
What do you mean by commanding with authority? I did not understand.
I'm not sure who's asking that question. That's a commanding with control. That's a good question. I could answer later, but I'll give you a quick answer. To command with control means to try to have everyone controlled. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. I will move on because
Nikhita,
Nikhita,
can I have one person speaking? I'm not sure. Yes.
Yeah, I
Go
will
ahead.
just, I wanted some clarification, what you mentioned about commanding with control. How does it link with our theme? And do you think commanding with control is what our leaders do in leadership speak?
Great question, Vinod. I love your
How
question.
can leaders ever be in control in anything? Because everything is just going here and there. There are so many things we need to look after. How can anybody be in control in this situation?
Excuse me, I need to answer one question at a time. It's overwhelming. So let me first address Vinod's question. Commanding with control is how I, as not a very mature leader, used to teach and lead. And yes, I don't think that is what a leader, what is a conscious leader, a self-directed leader should lead as or like.
So basically, you are saying a leader who controls by command is an immature leader. Can I make a conclusion like that? Yes or no?
It's a leader who still has a lot to learn, I would like to say. Yes.
And basically, he needs to learn maturity. That is what you are saying?
No, needs to learn how to lead differently. And we are getting there. So we're not, if you can
what do you mean by differently?
For me, hold your questions, put them in the chat, message me directly. And what I am saying is that a leader who leads with control, with trying to command control all the time, is a leader who's a bit like this, and needs to loosen up, needs to find different ways to engage, because what the classroom is teaching me is that control doesn't work. It doesn't work with learners who need creativity. So Vinod, please continue challenging or posting your questions. I love them privately or in the chat, and we can continue this conversation. Thank you very much for your great questions and clarity. So I also learned how to be a ninja, but I'm not referring to a ninja with swords and steels. I am talking about.
Hi, Nikhita. I've been wondering, when you started, you said that you were teaching children or no adults, right? You were teaching dance. And then I'm listening to you, then you're teaching very young school kids. I'm wondering, how did you even manage that? Do you think it's even possible? Do you think you need to do that from adults to children? That's not easy at all, right? So you're saying like you spoke to them like a child. Why would you do something like that?
I'm not.
Why would you hop from one to the other?
I'm not quite sure I understand your question. Your question is your question whether it's difficult to manage children? Or can you repeat the question more precisely, please?
It's not about it being difficult. Like, why would you jump from adults to young children? And do you think it's appropriate to do something like that? Dealing
I
with
think,
adults is
thank
very
you for your
different.
question. I think there's a misunderstanding. I am now talking about teaching children. And I'm only talking about teaching children and the lessons that these children are teaching me about being a leader, and we will get to that. So we are actually getting to that. If you just give me a little bit of some time, let me explain. Ninja teachers. Okay, so I'm talking about the teacher in the classroom becoming a ninja without a sword, without skills, but this is what it means. Alert, quick reaction. Now, my 3-year-olds, they have challenged me to be a ninja teacher because those guys go from 0 to 100 really quickly. I'm talking about noise levels, chaos. And so it's not appropriate for the teacher to shout over them. Sometimes if I do that, I feel guilty. Also, I know that I'm just adding to the noise. So instead of just shouting, this is what ninja teachers do. They pull out the creative powers. 5, and then the kids join me. 4, and then we decrease in the sound. 3, and then we get softer. 2, until we get to 1. And you have a short window. You cannot even hesitate before engaging them with the next activity, because if you hesitate, game over. So ninja teachers, they move quickly, precisely, and calmly.
You know, I wonder how much teaching is being done if we constantly, learn to adapt to the children. How do we do that when we are the leader?
Bingo, 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 bingo. Gerda, great question. I am going to get there. All right. So just follow along, pay attention, listen closely, because these students, they really, really, really propel growth as a leader and in the space of teaching. And there are a lot of lessons that we have to learn with that as teachers. So apart from just always being the ninja teacher, and I was saying that one of the other tools that ninja teachers need to pull out is creativity. Whether that is like a silly voice or a game. Should we play games? Oh, and this is all part of the learning, by the way. Games or a new prop, and anything that engages their attention so your lesson can move on. Ninja teachers, they have a silent power, constant awareness, and creative improvisation under pressure. So, question to answer Gerda. Is this the only way we keep it together? Like just managing behaviors? No, but unfortunately, this is the reality. As a teacher and a leader in the classroom, you have a lesson plan to finish. At the same time, you have to fulfill every child's needs. On top of that, you have to tailor your space, you have to tailor your energy, and you have to tailor the methods to 100 different personalities. Now, in our system, we don't even have a minute between the end of one class and the start of the next. Not even to breathe, to take a loo break, to drink some water. And at the same time, we're expected to teach with grace. So how do we keep it all together other than just being ninjas? Well, for me, one big lesson over the years has been compassion. Not just compassion for the students, but compassion for us, for ourselves as teachers. Because teaching isn't exhausting because of the teaching itself. It's the management, the babysitting, the emotional labor, the multitasking. And at the end of the day, I don't like the word taming, but it ends up what we need to do. Even though the goal is not to tame the students, the goal is to tame the chaos so that every student can flourish. In conclusion, over the past 10 years, I've shifted from leading with fear to leading with awareness, from power to playfulness, from control to curiosity. And I have had to heal my inner child in order to teach with love another child. The babies, tougher than today's audience. They are the toughest audience. They taught me this great leadership lesson. Prepare deeply, but be flexible. Teaching and leading with fear and control is not going to get anyone's attention. Teach with love and creativity. And above all, never underestimate your audience, not even if they are in diapers. Thank you.
Nikhita, thank you very much. You handled it very well, but your evaluator will give you more information. And you have definitely not tamed our compassion not to join Leadership Speak. Please post the guestbook again. Our next speaker is Leya, and may I invite her evaluator, Sabnam, to please read the purpose statement for Leya. Sabnam, is she in the house? I saw it earlier. There she is. Hello, Sabnam. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
President, fellow Toastmasters, and specifically Toastmaster Leya, good evening from my side of the world. The purpose of the speech is for the speaker to present an established story, a story about the speaker's life, or a fictional tale of the speaker's own creation. All the best and over to you.
Thank you very much, Sabnam. Another neighbor from Namibia from me, Leya hails from Botswana and is a Toastmaster enthusiast. She's a champion book reader or reader of books, which has resulted in her serving as editor for the Achieving Excellence magazine. She also served or is still serving for the next month as Vice President membership of Leadership Speak. Please help me welcome Leya. Window of opportunity. Window of opportunity, Leya. Over to you.
When faced with the window of opportunity, do you open it or close it? Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. A few years back, I faced my own window of opportunity. Speak to me for a few minutes, you will realize one thing about me is that I love to read. It is one of my biggest hobbies, to the point that I have started 2 book clubs. One day, I saw an advert in my district, District 74, where they wanted writers for the district magazine, Achieving Excellence. I raised my hand. I knew this would be a great opportunity for me to practice my writing skills. The year went by and before I know it, 12 months were gone. That was a great experience I had. When the new public relations manager took on the role, I asked if I could continue being a writer on the magazine. A week later, I got a call. Hi, Leya. You're not going to believe this. My editor has dropped out. Can you be my editor for the magazine? Me? An editor? I just know how to write. How will I manage several people under me? I knew that that was my window of opportunity, and I opened it. I then had to help our public relations manager find the other writers who would be helping on the magazine, and also to find somebody who would be designing the layout for the magazine. That was done. Next was to ensure that we were able to publish our first issue. That was for the month of July. With lots of hard work, a lot of WhatsApp calls and messages to the writers, we were able to issue our first issue. My reaction, I was over the moon. I couldn't believe that I had actually managed to do this. With the help of the public relations manager, of course. A month into the role, my public relations manager calls me again. Hi, Leya. I'm really busy right now, so you're going to have to take over the magazine by yourself and see how it's done. Me, all alone, no supervision. I knew this would be another opportunity for me to show my public relations manager that I could do this task. I had had a month or two with them, and this would be my opportunity to be able to show them that this is something they could trust me with. I'm one type of person who likes to have spreadsheets and make notes, and that's the first thing I did. I planned out the rest of the year, sat down with the rest of the editors of the magazine to see what stories we'll be able to do for the subsequent months that we had remaining. And also made sure that we had a proper structure to ensure that the person doing the design and layout would be able to meet the deadlines for us to ensure that we published every single month. And this meant that myself and the writers had to ensure that we made very tight deadlines. Ever worked on a magazine or anything that requires a deadline? How often does that happen, that people meet them? Yes, we had months where our designer would be on my back shouting because some of the writers hadn't met the deadlines, some of the articles were too long, or maybe the picture quality wasn't great. Here's a hint. For a magazine, the quality of a picture should be at least 2 megabytes. That was an amazing experience that I got to have. 3 takeaways that I got. Whenever you are faced with a window of opportunity, always prepare for the moment. For me, it was being a writer in the previous year. I'd been able to upskill myself as a writer. Number 2, sense and see the moment. When my PR manager called and asked if I could take over the role, I knew this could be my moment. Number 3, seize the moment. I was scared, but I knew this was my moment to shine. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, when you face the window of opportunity. Will you open it or close it? Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Leya, for giving us that glimpse at that window of opportunity. And dear guests and visitors, through Leya's window of opportunity, we certainly see another reason to support Leadership Speak. Now comes the other one. Our fourth evaluator or fourth speaker is Paramjit. And may I invite his evaluator, Tony, to please read the purpose statement for Paramjit.
Yes. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. As we heard earlier, this presentation will be very similar. This Paramjit's presentation is following the pathway of the presentation mastery. This is level 4, project 1, managing a difficult audience. And in such a presentation, there's two aspects, the objective and the challenge. Now, the objective is for Paramjit to deliver a meaningful presentation in a typical structured speech manner, however, to simulate a venue that is outside of Toastmasters. So that's the objective. The challenge is to handle disruptions from people such as a talker, an interrupter, a chatterer, or an arguer. This presentation, as per the second one, is 12 to 15 minutes. So let's go back and listen to our speaker. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Tony, for that update. And here's another chance on how to manage a difficult audience. And this time it's Paramjit who will present his speech. Again, 4 members who do not agree with the speech will try to disrupt his speech by talking, interrupting, chatting, or arguing. And also, again, this the objective for his speech is for Paramjit to maintain control. Only these 4 speakers or 4 members may disrupt his speech. Let's see what he does, how he does it. Please help me welcome Paramjit. What is in a name? What is in a name? Paramjit, over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. I'm really excited to present my speech in front of very experienced and learned audience, and very inquisitive also, I know. So I have a request that maybe the time you have a question, they may be answered before my speech ends. So just keep your question with you for some time until I finish, and I'll try my best to answer your questions. So now let's talk about my speech. William Shakespeare made Juliet say one time, "What is in a name?" The thing what we call rose is going to smell the same, even if you call by some other name. Who is Shakespeare to decide that?
That's right, Paramjit. I completely agree with you. How can Shakespeare say all these things? We shouldn't be listening to about him at all. Don't you agree, Paramjit?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for asserting my word. Thank you very much. Wow. And when my name was given to me, a very common name given to me by my parents, Paramjit, my life was never rosy after that. Because from the very beginning of my life, okay, primary school, I was to sit with 7 girls. Ah, lucky chap. No, lucky chap. They were all known as Paramjit. And their nickname was Pammi. And all my classmates used to tease me, Pammi, 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 Pammi. And I will run to my mummy. And what she will do? She will also say, Pami, go and do your work. She also joined the Brutus Brigade. And as soon as I enter my high school, to identify between different Paramjits, I was given different names. According to my body structure, fat Paramjit, short Paramjit, Didi Paramjit, Paramjit 2, Paramjit 3. Some of them I can't even say over here because it's a family club. Of course. There was one teacher who used to call me Lead Paramjit, Lead Paramjit. Oh, he has seen the potential of a leader in me. But one day, he shattered all my dreams of becoming a leader when he told me, Paramjit, Lead Paramjit means lead, the heaviest metal, not the leader Paramjit. It's the heaviest metal, lead. And my classmates changed my name to
Vicky,
Paramjit 82.
listen. Were you at Keep Kano Classic today? Eh? Did you watch? Huh? Were you there? Oh my goodness. Did you see the one who was leading?
Irene, I think you also have some experience like this. Do you have? Will you like to add on? I will just wait for your experience also for this. Oh, then I will
I was talking
continue.
about the leading.
Then you can share your experience at the later stage, right? So,
Sorry, I have
my
a question, Paramjit, about your teachers. Since I just gave a speech about teachers, how important do you think it is for teachers to how they name students, how they refer to the students?
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. For your information, I'd like to tell you, even my college, the teachers were, everybody was given a name by the teachers, and it was pasted on the main board of the college.
So that means that all your teachers had, so the students had nicknames given from the teachers. I'm asking this because sometimes I've heard teachers say, yes, sweetie, or honey, and I think it's quite inappropriate. So there are teachers who don't really respect like these kind of boundaries because for them it's natural to speak like that. What was your experience like at first? Did you feel like your teacher, did you feel closer to your teacher at first and then maybe later disappointed, or did it break you to hear what the name actually meant?
Yeah, Nikhita, it is absolutely fine, and I think you are right at your point. A lot of people have that type of. If some teacher says in such a way, people really feel bad about it. However, in our college there was, we call it pinning up ceremony, and the ceremony we have to put our pin on the place we come, and our nickname is told in front of everyone.
All right, so that means that you as a student decides what your nickname is, or do the teachers decide?
It was okay. I was happy with this. It's a fun. It's not about life. It's the fun. You enjoy this.
Okay, but you didn't enjoy it, right? Like it seems like you had a good experience until you found out that it kind of wasn't.
I enjoy it, but unfortunately, I was forgetting my own name, that which is my original name, Paramjit or Didi Paramjit, Paramjit 2, Paramjit 3, Paramjit 4. So that was the only challenge for me, but it's okay, fine.
And when the teachers are when they are addressing other students, like in your experience, how do the other students feel? Like how has it made them feel? I just think teachers have so much power and so much influence on a child's life that they can break a child or make a child. And naming, now that you're referring to naming, I've never thought about it, but now it triggers lots of memories of how sometimes I hear teachers, name students, and I think it's inappropriate.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I agree with you. It's inappropriate, and most of the time, anybody who is more serious, not like me, can really feel bad about it. Absolutely right. I think you have a very valid point. I'm really happy to learn from you that. Absolutely, yeah. So is it answer your question so that I can continue?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes, thank you. Those are all the questions I had for now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's all about teachers and things like that. But I know in my neck of the woods, when we're talking about teachers, I mean, listen, when the teachers call us sweetie and honey, it empowers us. It makes us feel so good. And let me tell you about teaching, right? One of the things the teachers teach us, Paramjit, even though we had our nicknames, not from the teachers, but from us, they teach us how to get mangoes and you have to freeze them because of the season. So the teachers, freeze them, cut the mangoes up, freeze them, because, the season not around all the time. And let me tell you, in your neck of the woods in Dubai, you can actually change the law to let them implement that mangoes is the way to go to be healthy every day. And the teachers are going to love and appreciate it. I mean, I love the mangoes. I mean, our teachers love our mangoes here as well. We have mangoes like rice and peas right now. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Francois. Thank you very much. I think we are talking about names here, and I will certainly like to have mangoes from you when I come there, or you send me the mangoes. I will send you from the way also, maybe. Yeah, I think absolutely right points. And the basic point over here today for me is that how I was named Paramjit, and I wanted to make it in a way that how Shakespeare was not right. That's what I wanted to say. So I think you keep hold for some time, and if you want, we can discuss at a later stage. Let me continue my speech, right?
Got it.
So now comes my convocation. An MC declared Paramjit Singh gold medalist. And I waved to my friend, oh my, and I ran towards the podium, but there was another Paramjit. He stopped me. Oh, this is my medal. I said, no, I am Paramjit. He said, well, so what? I am original Paramjit. I said, no, I am 100% pure Paramjit. And that convocation turned into a clash of titans, the gold medalist episode. And our teachers came to rescue us like bouncers. They checked our roll numbers, they checked our roster, maybe even horoscopes also. And they declared Paramjit Singh, roll number 8223, is the gold medalist. Oh my God. I lost. And I limped back to my seat with tears rolling down from my eye. It hurts, yeah, it hurts when somebody hit you with the real proper punches. I was not knowing that even you need to know karate to get a gold medal. Then everybody got married. And I know everyone over here were excited when they were getting married. But I was terrified. Why? Not because of commitment or any medical problems, but because of an undiagnosed problem, Paramjit phobia. I was feeling that while the marriage is going on, someone will Paramjit name, will come like a Spider-Man, and will say, I object, this bride is mine. But alas, it didn't happen. After 22 years of marriage, I think it should have happened. But I was not lucky enough. The Spider-Man was more lucky. Even my first overseas commitment to go and train people was also marked by my Paramjit phobia. It was like a comedy of error by William Shakespeare again. Here I didn't get only my name sake, but his parents' names were also same. It was like getting a twin brother who is in the wrong position. And I started checking my own pants. He was a drug peddler. Apparently, I was saved. Not because of my passport, not because of my ID, he was unmarried, and my marriage certificate saved me. I was never knowing even a marriage certificate can save you. And the best thing was, now everybody knows that Paramjit is not a criminal, just married. My life from the last 10 years was going on very smoothly in my Dubai company, but I shoot my own arm when I took one of my manager to India, a European manager. And the first company we entered was Paramjit's manufacturing company. And he saw the signboard and sarcastically said, "Oh, so you are made here, you are not born. They are manufacturing Paramjits. That's why you are not properly assembled. Some loose screws are there. I need a replacement." "Oh, no, no, sir. They are all our people. They're vendors. His owner's name is also Paramjit." And now this Paramjit has started coming to our company in Dubai, and my company has given me a new name, Local Paramjit. So, my dear friends, it is not about name. Destiny may take your name. It may mix up your name. It may caught at immigration. But one thing is very
No,
important I
Paramjit, how
learned.
can we not focus on name? The name is what people call us. The name is what people remember us with. I think names are really important. How can you say that? If people don't know my name or call my name wrongly, I'll be very, very sad. That is such a disaster. Names are important. How can you say that, Paramjit?
That's what I'm saying. Shakespeare is not right. He's not right at all. That's why. So what I want to say and stress upon is, our names can be same, but our stories are always different. And we learn this way. And I say that out of many Paramjit, I am the original Paramjit. And I again say to the Mr. William Shakespeare, now after listening to me, what is your opinion? What is in the name? A lot of troubles. And for my parents, next time I tell, don't look for the Google. You give me any other name, Quantum Jeet Singh, Skylab Singh, Disco Paramjit Singh, but not Paramjit, so that I can have a better life next time. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Paramjit. What fun we have at the last day of the month of May from such a passionate Toastmaster from the United Arab Emirates. Why shoot in your own arm, eh? No wonder. He is famous for his humorous speeches. And, of course, that made him a winner at division level. I have a feeling mangoes will haunt us all the way until the end of the day today. Thank you, Paramjit, for your information. Our name is Leadership Speak. Now we can all relax again and no interruptions, nothing. We can sit comfortably and listen to our final speaker, Arouna, and may I invite his evaluator, Mika. Are you in the room? Yes. Please, to read the purpose of his statement.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. The final speaker will deliver his speech on the project Understanding Your Communication Style. So the purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication style and identify his primary style. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share the impact his style on others. He wanted to highlight the speech, how it impacts and how the importance is connected with his audience. And he also wants me to focus on the structure of the speech. All the best, and back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Mika. And you see how multicultural we are here, because Arouna is from Senegal, and he will speak to our heart. Please help me welcome Arouna. Speak to your heart. Speak to your heart. Arouna, over to you.
Thank you, dear Toastmaster of the day. According to Toastmaster International, we have 4 communication styles: direct, initiating, supportive, and analytical. Ingenious economic statistician by training, I'm currently working as an expert macroeconomist specialized on financial markets. And at the beginning of my career, I was a direct communicator. I was result-oriented, and I used to measure progress by achievements and by successes. And at work, I was more concerned about result than relationship. Unfortunately, in that period, my communication style led to frustration with some colleagues. Fellow Toastmaster, all in communication is not about speaking. The way you are telling the truth is more important than the truth itself. One Friday in October 2017, during our annual meeting, I pointed out mistake in our annual report. And after this meeting, I lost many friends. Why? Because if they felt offended, I pointed out in public their mistake. Over the time, I learned to be more diplomatic. Thanks to reading and thanks to skills I learned when I decided to join Toastmaster. And then I shifted my communication style from direct to analytical. As a statistician training, I like figures and facts. I used to present information in an organized manner. It is why sometimes I'm perceived as an perfectionist. At the beginning of my career, as I said, I was not diplomatic at all. But over the time, and due to challenges I was facing in 2017, I became more diplomatic. I cannot define myself as a supportive communicator, even if I practice active listening, because supportive communicators dislike change. As you know, change is inevitable. Without change, we cannot progress. And we need to embrace change. It starts first in our mind. As George Bernard said, progress is impossible without change. And those who cannot change their mind, they cannot change anything. Last but not the least, I discovered myself as an initiative communicator. I used to communicate easily with others and have a spontaneous and fun-loving nature. I strongly believe that building a good relationship leads to an effective communicators. An effective communicator sometimes also needs to better relationship. It is a two-way street relationship. Because over my field, communicators, initiative communicators speak more than they listen. By the time I learned to practice active listening, to allowing others to share their opinion and their thoughts. Based on the results of the tests I did to prepare for this project, I discovered my communication style. And my primary communication style are analytical and initiating. Knowing my communication style allows me to discover my strengths and my weaknesses as communicators and how to improve to become an effective communicator. In my job, I deliver training and advisory services at a regular basis. And what I learned about communication is, first of all, the way you are delivering a speech is more important than its contents. Secondly, your words never last, but its impact does. Is why it is important to choose wisely your word when you are speaking. And lastly, people may not remember of what you said, but they cannot forget how you said impacted them. Back to you, dear Toastmaster over there.
Thank you very much, Arouna. You have spoken to our hearts, and with your diplomacy, the members are now eager to come aboard Leadership Speak. Okay, 10 members have already disembarked, but all the more fun for us remaining members. Irene, will you please post the guest book again? And Madam Timer, please share the times of the speakers in the chat box. And while we do that, our Zoom master, please launch a poll for the best effort speaker. And I am positive it will be a difficult choice. And thank you very much for all your wonderful speeches. There we are. What a difficult... Wow. Who shall we vote for? Okay. That has been done. Just sort of information for our visitors. Our leadership crew includes members from 29 countries. Maybe we'll get some more as from today. From the Philippines, Singapore, across the African continent, UAE, Europe, Antigua. Don't forget the mangoes, and into the USA and Canada. I now pass my leadership captaincy over to the General Evaluator, Nzinga, who will guide this leadership to safe harbors.
Hello, Hannah.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Nzinga, my northern neighbor.
Hello, neighbor. How are you today? Great to see you. I'm here to lead this section of the meeting, the general evaluation, where the feedback will help us all reform and become drivers of change. Today, I have the pleasure, as general evaluator, to introduce the speech evaluators. Our first one is Leya Musunga, who will be evaluating the toast delivered by Jyoti. Zoom Master, please bring us Leya. Hello, Leya.
Hello.
Please share your evaluation for Jyoti's toast.
Thank you so much. Here's to leaders driving change. Thank you, Jyoti, for sharing the toast today. I think listening to your speech reminded me that even the toast is actually a speech, and it should have an opening, a body, and a conclusion. And it was very clear from the way you presented your speech, from the opening, where you had your greetings, and then you went into your story. And I liked the fact that you even referenced people from the club. That adds authenticity to your speech because we are familiar with the people. And I'm sure even guests could have seen the people even on the list, and that provides that authenticity to the speech when you are providing it. You also had gestures as you were presenting to add to your speech. So that was really great. And the fact that at the end, you also then, as you're supposed to do in a toast, requested us and even waited for people to unmute, like you did say, please unmute yourself, lift your glass and share the toast with us all. And what we had to repeat back was very short and succinct. I found that very good. I think the only thing that I might add to the toast that you may want to work on is that I just noticed just a few of the gestures seemed a little bit random, but other than that, I think you gave a very good toast this evening. And like you said, here's to leaders driving change. And definitely here at Leadership Speak, we'll continue to drive change. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Leya. I would also add, Jyoti, that I liked how you called us to identify not only the leaders amongst us as the one you listed, but also the leader in us. And as driver of change, you gave us tips, sharing a vision, timely decision, and act boldly. That was a powerful conclusion, Jyoti. Thank you for those nuggets. Moving into our next evaluator, Ray Rivero. Ray will be evaluating Hannah, the Toastmaster of the day. Since joining Toastmasters in February 2012, Ray Rivero has been involved in many aspects of Toastmasters. He served as a club officer, all roles except Sergeant at Arms and Treasurer, an area director, and a division director. He has earned the Distinguished Toastmasters Award twice and has completed 7 paths from the original pathways, working on the 8th path by the end of June. Ray will be presenting Hannah Schmidt's evaluation for her Level 4 project, Manage Online Meeting. Please help me welcome Ray Rivero, DTM. Over to you, Ray.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Hannah, our Toastmaster of the day, or should I say the Harbor Master of the day, leading the way with guiding us on our leadership journey. Prior to the meeting, this is what I liked, is that you spent a lot of time preparing for this meeting. You knew how important it was to facilitate the meeting and managing the flow of the meeting, which you both did quite well. In your preparation work, I asked for the introductions and bios. Is there an open mic here? I'm having trouble trying to compete against that. Thank you. And then you worked on the Thursday training session about what needed to be done, including the titles. There are a lot of TBAs as a title. I'm not opposed to having TBAs as a title, but I'm glad we got titles for the speeches by Saturday. It would have been kind of interesting to see how 5 speakers could speak on the same subject, but that's another issue for today. And then we also talked about what I needed to pay attention while you were the Harbor Master of the day. I loved how you set up the introductory speech, warmly welcoming members and guests and inspiring us with this meeting theme. I love the transitions that were smooth and quick. And you managed the surprises with not 1, but 2 managing with difficult audience projects. It's difficult enough trying to do this online with so many interrupters, but apparently we have the natural talent of just loving to step in. Mangoes, Messi, and others. You complimented each speaker, and you managed us navigating through these treacherous interrupting waters. Just a couple of minor things that you might want to work on is, while you're planning, kind of give an estimate of when the meeting was going to end so you can kind of pace it out so you have an idea when the meeting is going to end. If there's one thing that we have to work on in Leadership Speak is trying to end on time. I don't think I've ever been in a Leadership Speak meeting that ended on time. And then be sure to remember to ask the timer at the end of the speeches for the length of time. It was already posted, but I don't think I noticed that. So some of the challenges. share in another speech, like in lessons learned, that is a project about what you did well, what you can improve upon, and what challenges to meet as a TMOD, or should I say harbor master of leadership speak. I love to preemptive, be proactive, and just like 2 to 3, what we can do for 2 to 3 steps ahead, almost like a chess game. And with that, I cede over the meeting to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thanks, Ray. You mentioned about the theme. As leaders, it's our responsibility to initiate change and not to stagnate, to engage the organization and to challenge all of us. Your evaluation illustrates that the comments about Hannah's performance, the preparation of the meeting, and how Hannah conducted the meeting reflect that. That's a very uplifting evaluation for Hannah and the learning for us as well. I would add, Hannah, how your energy throughout the meeting from the beginning until now has also kept the energy high. You said you were excited, but you also looked excited. Your body language, your expressions, before you even said a word, kept us engaged. And you also have the challenge, as Ray mentioned, to run a meeting that is not as usual, with long projects, with disruptions, and you are doing very well and highly energetic. Well done, Hannah. Moving into our next evaluator, Terrence Ward. Hi, Terrence. Terrence will be evaluating the leadership speak, the educational speech delivered by Lydiah. Leaders Drive Change. Over to you, Terrence.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Leaders drive change. Right from the start of this speech, I noticed that the audience was really engaged because the title and Lydiah, you were able to connect with the audience. You asked them, think about today's theme. That was very important because you brought them. If, for instance, someone had just joined and they were thinking about other things, they were brought back into the room to think about the theme. The second thing that I found effective about your speech is the use of the quotes, or the quoting different leaders, what they said, and even paraphrasing what they did. This dug into the authority and it brings credibility to your speech. And so this ensured that the content in your speech is in line with the theme, and it also works very well, especially in this context of leadership speak. There are two things that I will also say you really excelled at, including the call to action and the key takeaway. You brought it out to the extent that, for instance, I can say the call to action and the key takeaway or the key message were one and the same in my opinion, because you kept emphasizing on leaders driving change. Another person may see, or another angle I may also look at it, is that you also brought out that as an individual, I don't need to be perfect to drive change. I need to start where I am. As a leader, I don't need to be perfect. I can start where I am. And this leads me to the second bit of this evaluation, the areas I would challenge you to improve and move to the next level. The very first thing I noticed when I started watching your speech was that I felt as if you were seated down. I'm not so sure because of the angle of the camera, but it looked as if you were sitting down. When delivering a speech at Leadership Speak and in any other club, especially virtually, it's recommended that you stand up so that you're able to deliver it more appropriately. And in fact, you're able to match the eye level, or you're able to be at eye level. It's as if you're looking directly at the audience. And then the second thing, there was a great or rather there was an opportunity to improve your tonal variation. I saw that at some point. However, throughout the speech and to help you engage the audience for a longer period, there's always that encouragement, or there's always that opportunity to vary your tone so that people see where the excitement comes in, despite this being an informational speech, and where the lows are, especially when you're talking about something that is not so pleasant. And with that, I've come to the end of my evaluation. Thank you for delivering this speech. I look forward to your next speech. Over and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Terrence, for this well-structured evaluation on what Lydia did well and areas for improvement. I would suggest you add a few examples. When you mentioned, I had also a note about voice variation and to keep us engaged. An example would be when Lydia talked about leaders having vision or courage. Excuse me, that would be a good example to illustrate what Lydia could have done differently while delivering her speech. No other comments other than that. Now, moving into our next evaluator, Gerda Felix, to evaluate the speech delivered by Luciano Joao. Hi, Gerda, a distinguished Toastmaster, spiritual life coach, and conscious listener. About the theme, Gerda says, it is important because it is one of the responsibilities of a leader to break the status quo. Therefore, change is imminent. Over to you, Gerda.
Thank you, General Evaluator. And thank you to Luciano for sharing with us his strategies, his PR strategies, public relations strategy. I noticed that from the start, Luciano shared with us the challenges, increasing the number of members and the organization in the club. Also, Luciano shared with us what he believed the tools necessary to fix the challenges, social media and word of mouth. Body language was effective in most of cases. Pauses were also effective in terms of silence. And I noticed that your voice changed when you mentioned you have to open the book. Now, my recommendations and something you may want to work on. We're going back to pauses because the pauses you asked me to look for. Pauses were effective in terms of silence. However, I noticed that sometimes, even though you paused, your body continued to move. And in an instance, you even bit your lip. And it felt to me that instead of it being a pause, it felt like you were looking for your words, something to pay attention to. Next is, of course, you asked me for vocal variety. I noticed that your voice changed every time you mentioned you need to open the book. That was effective. However, I would have liked to see even more difference or distinction between when you were commending, stating what you've done, and when you were sharing. In summary, what you did well is you shared with us what was the problem. What was it that you were going to do or that you've done to fix it? Your body language was effective. Your voices, your pauses were also effective. However, I need you to Pay attention to your pause more. When you pause, pause, not only in your voice, but also in your body. But what I like the best is that from the start, you told us what was it that you worked on. And I felt that this answered to your project. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Gerda. It seems that you and Luciano are partnering. I listened to you providing him feedback before, and since then, I see a transformation in the way Luciano is delivering his speeches, particularly the aspects you mentioned, the vocal variety and the pauses. So great job, well done. Here we see leaders driving change here at Leadership Speak, and it's amazing. It's great to see that. I also have a comment. It's about Luciano's background. I was trying to read everything and see if I knew everybody in the picture. I thought you would comment on that. For me, at least, it was something that an eye-catching, but some destructive as well, a bit disruptive. Other than that, nothing to add. Now, I'm moving to our next evaluator. We have a change in the agenda. Tony will be stepping in as Nikhita's evaluator because Tati had some technical
Sorry, Madam General
issues.
Evaluator. Vinod will be
Hello?
evaluating instead. So sorry.
Sorry?
There has been a second change in evaluator. Vinod will be doing the evaluation instead. Thank you, GE.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking the challenge, Vinod. Over to you to evaluate Nikhita's project.
Thank you, G. Toastmaster Nikhita, I wanted to ask you one question after your speech, which I will ask now. How do you stay compassionate without taking a loo break? Hats off to all the teachers like you who are managing this chaos amazingly. What I absolutely loved in your speech was the voice, the projection of your voice. You were very confident from the beginning, and you played with your voice. When you were training the adults, we could feel the voice. It was for the adults. When you were with the kids, your voice was for the kids. So that confidence was there in you. You had confidence, you had certainty, and there was no chaos with your voice. The second thing that I absolutely loved was the gestures. Again, when you were with the adults, you were using that. I felt you were doing an amazing dance with control on the screen. And I literally enjoyed everything that you were doing with the kids and the ninja, all those stuffs. The third thing is the title and the message. Taming chaos with compassion. A twist. Usually, whenever we say that you should be compassionate and all, it feels very dry. But as soon as when I heard the title Taming Chaos with Compassion, I knew something was coming. And you used fear and compassion as two tools that you use to control the audience or to be with them, with your audience. That is what I had learned from that particular thing. And I feel that there is a lot of scope with this title and with those two messages, how you use this tool of fear and compassion. So what is and what was currently. Now, as an experienced speaker, I would like to give you two suggestions. One, on the managing difficult audience, specifically on the project. Second, on the structure. The ninja stuff was a fluff. You didn't needed that. The story 5 to 7 minutes was very clear, taming with compassion, what you learned while you were training the adults, what you learned while you were training the kids. That's it. I felt you took us somewhere where you also got a little bit derailed with the questions. Even though you were managing it very well, I felt just two of those things and compassion, curiosity, creativity, that was more than enough. The second most important thing is handling question. First chattered Toastmaster Paramjit when he imagine you are giving a paid presentation. The first thing is you should always respect your audience. Okay, no matter what the audience does, and it happens in real life training, it has happened with me. So you took it in a humorous way when you told Paramjit, okay, shut your mouth or mic, right? Imagine if he was paying $500 for your session, how would he feel? The better way was you could have asked Paramjit, Paramjit, do you have a question? Yes. If he said yes, let us park it and come back by the end of the speech. If no, can you please shut your mic or put your mic off? Okay. Same to the others also. If you have any question, let us park it. You said put it in the chat or message me privately. Not required. We'll address it at the end. So the parking technique. So overall, I feel you are an amazing speaker with effective voice, gestures, message of the speech. If you work on the, like what you say, no, a singular message, not only you can change babies with diapers, you can actually change leaders who drive change. Thank you, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Vinod. As one of the disruptors, I believe when you mentioned that Nikhita could have owned the control of the meeting a bit more, you could have used your own example. You interrupted several times. Nikhita was very nice. She was very nice with you. Suggest Nikhita after the second question say, Vinod, I will answer this question now, but if you have any more questions, please let's talk about it later. Not just to interrupt him and not having him posing many questions while you were trying to deliver your speech, Nikhita. Now, the next evaluator is Sabnan. Sabnan will be evaluating the third speaker, Leya. Hi, Sabnan.
Hi.
Tell us about your thoughts about Leya's window of opportunity. Over to you, Sabnan.
Thank you. What an opportunity it is to evaluate a speech by such a decorated Toastmaster. I think I will open this window. Madam General Evaluator, Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters, and specifically Toastmaster Leya, good evening from my side of the world. Today, Toastmaster Leya took us on a journey of her from being an avid reader to becoming an editor and then being given the opportunity to run the entire magazine. What an opportunity it is. There were several highlights in her speech for me. Some of them being, number one, the title of this speech. She used the title in the beginning, in the middle, and then she closed again with the same title. And the way she used it, we always hear that when you are presented with an opportunity, take it. But open the window of opportunity. It's very rare you see these words coming in any speech. So I really liked it. Secondly, the story that she was narrating was dated. There were dates like July 1st, within a month. Now, when such dates and timeline is there in any story, it authenticates it. Number three, whenever there were some points that she wanted to give, she numbered them like point number 1, point 2, point 3. It showed that her preparation was very well. She remembered all the points. That was really nice. Well, as an evaluator, I do have some suggestions. Suggestion number 1, the background. I think she could have used a plain wall or a background if not possible. If a plain wall is not possible, a background could be used. Secondly, the sunlight. It was coming on the monitor. Rather, if it came directly on her face, her beautiful skin would have radiated even more. Then point number 2. Leya, can I tell you, I am a very big fan of your smile. However, there was this one particular moment in your speech where you said the writer did not give it his write-up on time, the editor was on my head. At that time, the tension on your face would be translated to the audience. So rather than just hearing the speech, We could even visualize this speech. So your expressions play that part. So that drama would have been created. And that one particular point in the beginning of your speech where you said, long back this happened, then immediately jump to what actually happened. But rather than doing that, you went on to explain your likes and dislikes about reading. So connect the dots. So just to leave you with, there are 3 points for effective storytelling. Show, don't tell, create emotional connection, and use descriptive language. Use these 3 points and your storytelling will be more effective than it already is. All the best, and over to you.
Thank you, Sabnan. A smiley evaluator to a smiley speaker. I really don't have nothing to add. I was reviewing my notes. Only had a note, but you mentioned the sunlight, and I noticed also the glare on the glasses, and I think it was also because of the sunlight, something to look out for, Leya. Now we have Tony. Now it's you, Tony. I'm calling you to evaluate Paramjit. Tony, chartered club member, club parliamentarian, and past District 86 governor. About the theme, Tony said, people generally resist change and need leaders to drive it. Over to you, Tony.
Hey, thank you, General Evaluator. Hello, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and hey, especially you, Paramjit. What's in a name? Boy, could I relate to that. Your objective was to deliver a meaningful presentation to a venue outside of Toastmasters where not everybody is always warm and friendly. And your challenge was to handle the disruptions from different types of disruptors in such a way that possibly could even enhance your presentation. And what I liked about your presentation was, as your evaluator, it was personal to me about what's in the name, because I immediately related to that, because I never liked my name, Anthony. I don't use it, Anthony, not unless I'm in court, or I'm in trouble. I don't even like Tony. So I understand what you were getting at. So therefore, you had my attention. And I also liked how at the very beginning, you established a rule of engagement when you asked the audience to please hold our questions until later. And what I also liked was that your team of disruptors came prepared, dedicated to contribute to this presentation, and as they did. And your closing emphasized your message. Improvements. It took me a while to really understand what the real purpose of your message was, but halfway through, I got it. And especially, I got hooked when you talked about Paramjit phobia. Bingo, I got it. Yes, Paramjit phobia. Now I got the message. Also, I believe you should have enforced the rule of engagement more, because the disruptors started to disrupt immediately, like the person at the very beginning. Fantastic job of disrupting, but that person gave you an opportunity when he challenged Shakespeare's right to define a name, and you could have said, yes, that's my point. Thank you for making my point, but please wait until the question and answer period. And also, the other disruptors did a great job disrupting. One actually asked a lot of questions that related to teaching, and another gave a long question relating to mangoes. Fantastic job of disrupting. They should have been controlled immediately and concisely from the very beginning when they spoke. So what I really liked was the fantastic execution of this presentation in coordination with the disruptors and with the Toastmaster of the day. They did a great job. Everyone worked together to provide a workshop to all of us about what can happen in the real world. Food for thought. My summary is 3 things. Always maintain control. Stay on focus. Don't let people, change it to this or that, teaching mangoes or whatever, although it's really interesting. And importantly, one thing at a time. This sounds a lot like Robert's Rules of Order, so I'm preaching a bit. My takeaway is your message. Let not your name define your character, but let your character define your name. So, Paramjit, maybe now I might get over my Tony phobia. Thank you, Paramjit. Well done. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Tony. That is an amazing takeaway. Indeed, it's not sometimes just about names and letting us be defined by our names. It can be our nationalities, our jobs, it could be anything. Where indeed, as leaders driving change, we should let our characters define our names, our jobs, our nationalities, and define us in everything we do at all times. Thank you for that feedback. Moving into our last evaluator, Miko. Miko will be evaluating the speech delivered by Arouna. Miko is a practicing architect based in Dhaka. He is a Toastmaster and lifelong learner who loves to travel and spend time with family and friends. About the theme, Miko says, we as leaders have to match pace with the evolving world we live in and set new goals to achieve excellence in our community. Over to you, Miko.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Last but not the least, the final speaker spoke about changes. He has spoken to us about how different ways he could have communicated, and he learned by experience. From his experience, he stated how he been a direct communicative leader, later how he could find the other types of communication. With this type of project, he wanted to get the focus on the structure. Yes, he managed a good structure. He had a very good opening, and he elaborated how the different styles of communication. Then he went on describing all the types of communications, and finally, he has stated that he has chosen the analytical and initiative type of communication. But in this speech, what we could have been more affected or connected or impacted by the speech if he had given us some flashback from his experience, like a few experiences when he was very truthful about direct communication, how it had not communicated the diplomatic way of communication. Since you're a leader, you have to be diplomatic because you'll be managing different groups and people. So those things, if he had given some snippets from those moments, then it would have been very useful for the audience for the takeaway, because we remember the stories may not be the lesson. And that's how he could have used more times, because he had 100 more seconds to use to establish his communication style. Overall, he managed a good speech project, and he delivered a good speech with a good message. And now he has managed to evolve, because leaders drive change, and he changed into a more effective leader. So that's how he managed to communicate, and that's how he managed to change into different types of communication style. Thank you, Toastmaster Arouna, for sharing your story. And I hope that wraps up his evaluation. Over to you, General Evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you, Miko. Interesting. I also agree that storytelling also improves the speech. This concludes the evaluators' reports and feedback on the speeches. I would like now to call our timer, usually to post the timings in the chat. And also, we'll call our grammarian, Françoise. Hi, Françoise.
Hi, thank you so much, General Evaluator. We had an interesting meeting today, and we already we've gone a long, long way, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. The word of the day was reform. It was used 4 times, but don't worry. Throughout the presentations of all our leaders, we had a lot of interesting quotes and call to actions, and I'm only going to mention 2 just for time purposes. And the very first one was you cannot change what you don't know of. And the other one that stood out for me, I must say, it might not have been a quote that was said, but what one of the evaluators stated was, when you pause, the body is to flow with it. That one stood out for me because, when you pause, you're still moving about. But that one definitely took the cake. And we had a wonderful meeting. And back over to you, our general evaluator from the Manga Lady.
Thank you, Françoise. I was still waiting for the mangoes. Thank you for your feedback. Now I will share with you some thoughts about how the meeting went. My own thought about the team is, as an African proverb says, if you think you're too insignificant to make a change, you have never spent the night with a mosquito. I'm from Angola. We struggle with mosquitoes here. You probably saw me here. There's one here nagging me. This meeting calls for many people. The Toastmaster of the day, yes, surely. But then a lot of people working to make this happen. The speakers, the evaluators, the timer, the grammarian, sergeant at arms, greeter. You see the chats, the messages in the chat about how this meeting is going on, the guest book being posted. It takes a lot of people, and everybody makes a difference. In leadership speak, everybody has an opportunity to make a difference. And this is how we transform. We join this community, and meeting by meeting, as brilliantly said by Jyoti while opening the meeting with her toast, every speech, every meeting, every shared idea, opportunity to connect, to interact, do changes. As we change, we become drivers of change because we go to the world after this meeting and we do drive change. Hannah, very enthusiastic. A couple of weeks ago, when I was called to join this meeting, I never saw you with a reduced enthusiasm or excitement. It showed throughout the meeting. It was a different meeting. You're not just by the way you delivered, with your energy and your flair, but also we even had a commercial break. We had not one, but 2 long projects that kept us hooked with disruptions, very entertainment, but also learning opportunities, because that's what happens, not just with teachers, it happens to all of us in everything we do. So this meeting had a different flair. It had something different. And I saw a lot of change. I mentioned Luciano's speech. He's been collaborating with Gerda. This is what it is about. This is what brings us here on a Saturday morning, afternoon, or evening. We are changing ourselves and we are becoming drivers of change. Of course, there are areas of opportunity. It was mentioned here by Ray. We not always follow the timings in the agenda. For us, we know that, but it's good to let the guests know about this. I saw a message in the post. Thank you, Bram, for that. I also mentioned that during the commercial breaks, Sit tight because you'll have a longer meeting. So it's good to let people know what's going on, that we might go out beyond time. Other than that, quite exciting to see the plug for the next meeting, an open house, already shared here. So we keep transforming, we keep changing even leadership speak meetings, and this is what we are here for. In summary, let's keep introducing change and innovation in our meetings. Let's encourage people to change and become drivers of change. And most certainly, let's keep showing up, performing roles, and demonstrating how we are implementing these changes in leadership speak and in the outside world. With that, I think I give it back to you, Hannah, right?
Yes, thank you very much, Nzinga. You offered each evaluator invaluable guidance on being proactive and enhancing their evaluation. That is driving change. May I ask the Zoo Master, please, to launch the poll for the best evaluator? And I'm sure you will be having as much difficulty in choosing the evaluator as you had in choosing your speakers. Thank you. And put your point to whoever there is. And while he does that, before we disembark from this leadership, we have a Toastmaster to share his thought of the day, a farewell message, and a moment to reflect on our journey. I request Vinod to present us with a thought of the day and the experience of today's voyage. Over to you, Vinod.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Hannah. Leaders drive change. Change is always uncomfortable and people resist change. My perspective on this particular topic. Now, I don't believe that people resist change. I believe people resist loss. Because whenever there is a change, there will be a loss. Loss of safety, loss of routine, loss of sense of fairness, sense of status, sense of belonging, whatever it is. Because whenever a change happens, you are taking someone from a point A to point B, and people are attached to that point A. That was very well elaborated by our education speaker also. The second thing is leadership is not a mask that you put it and you become someone who can drive change. So what it means, it also connects with leadership speak. You need to change yourself as a leader first. You have to be self-directed. You have to be intentional. So before driving a change, a leader needs to ensure that he or she is changing themselves. And I would end with the message what our TMOD said, leadership drive change is not a slogan. It's a call to action. So a food for thought, what are you changing in your life? Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Vinod, thank you very much for your thought-provoking message. And now I'll hand over quickly to our Zoom Master to introduce the two crew members from my leadership who have truly excelled and deserve recognition. Are you ready, Mr. Zoom Master? Have you got the two crew members? Okay, while he's doing that, I hand over to our president to speak to our guests and visitors. Over to you, Bron.
Thank you, Hannah, for conducting an amazing, wonderful meeting. You've done excellent job. This meeting was going to be long. We had acknowledged that before we started this meeting a couple of days back, because we knew because of this two interruption speeches, 15 minutes long each. that we will be running out of time, and we are, and that is okay. We have several guests here that have signed in the guest book, and that is great. Now, let me just see who I need to speak to today that is here. Wesleyan Walters, are you there, Wesleyan? All right. Looks like Wesleyan may have moved away from her computer. Is Leya here, our VP of membership? She's not here, right? I can't see her. Okay. We have Tariq Hussain. Are you there, Tariq? I need to put on my glasses. Anyways, looks like most of our guests have left. They've signed the guest book. They have the invitation for next week.
Hello, sir. Good day. Hi.
Hello, who is
Hello?
this speaking? Hi.
Yes, sir. I think I heard you call my name, but I was just into other stuff.
Sorry, who's this?
Wesleyan.
Oh, hey, Wesleyan.
Hi.
How did you find our meeting? Any comments from you?
Of course, as I told you, I've been around a while, so it was just another pleasant meeting, impromptu. Well, not impromptu, informative. I love the speech by the opening and the leadership speaker. So all in all, good meeting.
Thank you, Wesleyan. So please do keep coming as a guest. You've indicated to me earlier today that you are not yet ready to be a member, but good to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wesleyan. And please complete the guest book. We will put the link in again so we know we can track that you were here, if you can do that for us. Thank you very much. Tariq and Hasnath, are you there? Either one of you? If not, we will. I'll give this back to the Toastmaster of the day. Remember, Luisa Montalvo will be here next week. I will ask all members to please share this in your districts, in your clubs, in your WhatsApp groups, from other WhatsApp groups where you have Toastmasters who've done level 3 or above. Please invite them so that we have a big open house next week. Over to you, Hannah.
Again, I'll try again. Thank you very much for your message. Mr. Zoom Master or whoever is responsible, have you got the results? We'd like to see that. Please, please, please. Best evaluator. There we are. Oh. Hey, congratulations. Well done. Hey, Nikhita, well done. Congratulations. Super. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Excellent.
Wow, excellent. I'm sure that the choice was not that easy. I just want to ask the two leaderships or those two speakers, Paramjit and Nikhita, is she still there? Nikhita, how did you manage or how did you feel about this managing a difficult audience? Paramjit, what about you? What's your takeaway on that? It's the first time that this has happened on Leadership Speak since I've
If you
been
can,
there.
Madam, if you can adjourn the meeting first, and then
Oh, okay.
and then you
I
can.
thought it was before the meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
By the powers invested in me, I adjourn this meeting. Mr. Zoom Master, please stop the recording.
Irene, you can switch from the YouTube to